Deep inside the Deir el-Bahari tomb complex, archaeologists uncovered a body that violated every established convention of ancient Egyptian burial. The corpse, catalogued only as Unknown Man E, was locked in sheer agony, head thrown back, mouth gaping open in a silent scream. To the ancient Egyptians, mummification was a highly precise, sacred ritual necessary to guarantee a person's safe passage into the afterlife. This screaming man bypassed all of those careful preparations. He was completely unembalmed. The priests who handled him skipped removing his internal organs, leaving them intact to rot. Instead of traditional fine linen, his corpse was swathed in sheepskin, a material considered ritually impure. This required too much effort to be an accident. The people who buried him executed a deliberate spiritual punishment to ensure his afterlife was destroyed. The question is, what crime could possibly warrant that level of eternal damnation? The identity of the screaming corpse remained a mystery until modern genetic analysis provided a definitive match. DNA profiling confirmed that Unknown Man E was Prince Pentewere, a son of the Pharaoh Ramesses III. For a long time, historians assumed his father, Ramesses III, had died peacefully of old age and declining health around his 60th birthday. That assumption held until 2012, when a CT scan of the pharaoh's mummy revealed a massive wound hidden beneath the linen bandages around his neck. His throat had been slashed all the way to the bone. This animated cross-section shows the severity of the blade's path. The strike cleanly severed his trachea, his esophagus, and the primary blood vessels of the neck, resulting in rapid, catastrophic blood loss and almost immediate death. With that scan, the eerie anomaly of a screaming mummy becomes a definitive case of parricide. But a pharaoh was considered a living god, surrounded by elite security. To understand how assassins reached him, we have to look at the state of his empire. By the 29th year of Ramesses III's reign, the Egyptian state was cracking under intense internal pressure. Decades of massive military campaigns to repel foreign invaders had severely depleted the royal treasuries. Combined with diminishing harvests, the entire system was experiencing crippling grain inflation. The impact hit the working class first. This is a photograph of the excavated foundations of Deir el-Medina. The artisans living here were responsible for building the royal tombs in the Valley of the Kings. But as the economy cratered, the state completely stopped delivering their monthly grain rations. Facing starvation, these elite tomb builders dropped their tools and walked off the job. In what is now considered the first recorded labor strike in human history, they marched to the local mortuary temples and staged massive sit-ins. The palace couldn't manage the crisis. The royal vizier failed to secure their provisions, forcing the workers to bypass the pharaoh's administration entirely and appeal directly to local mayors and priests to open up regional granaries. The strike at Deir el-Medina publicly exposed the weakness of the palace. The pharaoh could no longer feed his own people. A massive power vacuum had opened up, proving that the royal court was ripe for a coup. We know how the coup played out thanks to the judicial papyrus of Turin. This extensive trial transcript outlines a plot by Queen Tiye, a secondary wife, to bypass the designated heir, Ramesses IV, and violently clear the path for her son, Prince Pentewere. Because the royal harem was highly restricted, Tiye spent months recruiting a network of insiders. She managed to flip the overseer of the king's treasury, pantry chiefs, and army commanders to smuggle messages past the guards and coordinate an ambush. The conspirators timed their strike for the beautiful festival of the valley, using the crowds, noise, and overall distraction of the public celebration to isolate and assassinate the pharaoh in his own quarters. They managed to slit Ramesses III's throat, but the broader coup collapsed. Loyalists inside the palace reacted quickly enough to secure the throne for the rightful heir, leaving Ramesses IV with the power to round up his father's murderers. Ramesses IV immediately convened a tribunal of 12 magistrates. They interrogated the conspirators and ultimately executed dozens of high-ranking palace officials, military leaders, and harem staff. In the official court record, the scribes deliberately altered the real names of the accused into names of infamy. A traitor named Mershur, meaning Ra loves him, was recorded instead as Mesenster, meaning Ra hates him. Because of his royal blood, Prince Pentewere was spared public execution and instead ordered to take his own life. The papyrus states he hung himself, a detail that matches the deep strangulation marks found around the neck of the screaming mummy. His body was then subjected to damnatio memoriae. By skipping the embalming process and wrapping him in ritually impure sheepskin, the state intentionally destroyed his identity and his ability to pass into the afterlife. Resolving this cold case required a convergence of surviving trial transcripts, records of a collapsing economy, and 21st century DNA technology. The screaming mummy stands as the physical aftermath of a failed coup, deliberately preserved as a monument to eternal punishment. In 2012, radiologists placed the 3,000-year-old mummy of Pharaoh Ramesses III into a CT scanner. Beneath the heavy linen wrappings, they found physical clues to a crime preserved in silence for 30 centuries. The imaging revealed a deep, lethal gash across his neck. An assassin had cut into the pharaoh's throat with enough force to slice entirely through the esophagus and trachea. It was a strike intended to kill him instantly. As researchers scanned further down the body, they found a second wound that had been invisible to the naked eye. One of the pharaoh's big toes had been hacked off. The fractured bones showed no signs of healing, indicating this injury occurred at the same time his throat was cut. One attacker swung a heavy blade from the front, while a second assailant struck the neck from behind. These distinct marks prove this wasn't a random act of violence. It was a highly tactical, military-grade ambush designed to eliminate a man the empire considered a living god. The embalmers who prepared Ramesses for his burial took unusual steps to manage that second wound. They sculpted a prosthetic toe out of linen and used heavy resin to cement the bandages in place, ensuring the injury remained buried beneath the ritual wrappings. This reconstruction was tied to the concept of Na'at, the Egyptian principle of truth, order, and cosmic balance. As pharaoh, Ramesses was expected to embody this order in his physical form. Shedding the blood of a king was seen as a violation of the universe's natural laws. It contradicted every piece of state propaganda that portrayed the ruler as an untouchable, divine force. By physically obscuring the wounds, the state maintained the illusion of the pharaoh's invincibility. Officially acknowledging that a group of mortals could successfully butcher their god would have threatened the ideological stability of the entire empire. Historical records, specifically the Turin Papyrus, identify the lead conspirators as Queen Tiye, one of the pharaoh's secondary wives, and her son, Prince Pentewere. The royal harem and the palace guard were built to act as the king's ultimate shield. However, the extreme proximity required to protect the pharaoh also made these individuals the only ones capable of striking him. This was a recurring vulnerability in Egyptian history. Pharaoh Teti of the 6th dynasty was reportedly murdered by his own bodyguards, and Amenemhat I was assassinated by a faction within his inner circle while he slept. For an Egyptian king, history suggests that proximity was the primary source of risk. The palace walls provided a sanctuary from foreign invasion, but they offered no protection from the people inside them. The motive for the murder was tied to the myth of Osiris, the divine king who was murdered by his brother and then succeeded by his son. As the focus moves to the hawk-headed deity, in Egyptian law, power was often secured through ritual rather than simple biology. The individual who successfully performed the burial rites for the deceased king, playing the role of the god Horus, was recognized as the legitimate new pharaoh. Queen Tiye's plan required more than just the death of Ramesses III. Her faction needed to seize control of the funeral immediately to legitimize Prince Pentewere's claim to the throne. The coup failed because the designated heir, Ramesses IV, survived the initial attack. He quickly secured the palace and the pharaoh's body, ensuring he was the one to lead the burial rites. Ramesses IV understood that in ancient Egypt, the person who controlled the story of a ruler's death was the person who inherited the living empire. The retribution that followed is recorded in the Judicial Papyrus of Turin. Under the Egyptian standard of guilty until proven innocent, 12 judges oversaw trials that resulted in the execution of over 30 officials, soldiers, and priests. The state carried out a campaign of historical erasure, with their names and images systematically chiseled out of monuments and tombs. In the official records, they were stripped of their identities, renamed with derogatory titles like Ra hates him or associated with Apep. To the Egyptians, a person could only exist in the afterlife if their name was preserved in the world of the living. By destroying their records, the state enacted a cosmic death sentence intended to annihilate their souls for eternity. This massive legal and physical effort explains why the embalmers used that prosthetic toe and heavy resin to hide the pharaoh's injuries. According to Egyptian theology, the pharaoh would serve as the judge of the underworld. To hold this divine office, his body had to remain perfectly whole and unblemished throughout eternity. These imposing statues represent the eternal, perfect version of the king that the state wanted the world to see. The image of the invincible God King was a necessary fiction. It masked a political reality where rulers were held together by forensic cover-ups, secret tribunals, and the absolute necessity of maintaining the illusion of order.